Hey, Ollie.
Hi, Gabby. How's it going?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. I had a quick panic then because my internet connection crashed about kind of 2 seconds before I was supposed to log on, which is always the way, isn't it?
Oh,
I think
no.
it's okay now.
Oh, I'm happy you're here.
Good stuff.
Cool. So we've already got a few people here with us. If you are
Great.
here and you want to talk, you can always just hop into the chat box, and feel free to let us know as well where you're joining us from. Looks like we've got people from the Netherlands and Germany.
Great, so good mix.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll just give it a few more minutes until it gets to 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, depending where you are, to give everyone a chance to join. Oh, Zambia.
Wow.
What's the gravel riding like in Zambia, David?
I've not done gravel riding there, but I've done gravel riding in South Africa and in Swaziland, and it's so I guess it's kind of similar, and that's a bit of a stereotype, but it's really fun.
Is it? Yeah, I can imagine there's lots of like gravel roads around, but that's just a guess. So
yeah, yeah, an amazing wildlife. That's the big difference. It's great in European winter as well. You go down there and it's blue and sunny and warm and lovely.
Oh yeah. Okay, David actually lives in Ireland.
Probably not quite so warm and sunny.
How's gravel riding in Ireland? Okay, mixed. Have you been riding in Ireland, Ollie?
No, never. I've only been a couple of times, and even then only to the north. I've never not been to Southern Ireland at all. So, yeah, I haven't. It's on the list, but I haven't got around to it yet. What about you? Have you ridden over there?
I have, but just on the road actually. It was before
Okay.
I'd really discovered gravel, so yeah, missed that. But the road riding was really cool, and we were actually on like very small roads a lot of the time.
Okay.
Which I can imagine actually might have been better for a gravel bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big race, I guess it's annually, called the Transatlantic Way that went around the coast that a couple of friends of mine did, and they said the scenery was amazing and the weather was less amazing.
Yeah, I remember it being like quite windy and quite wet.
They said the scenery was incredible. They were quite amazed how hilly it was as well. It's just constantly up and down. I guess if it follows the coast, you'd expect that.
Yeah, I remember it being quite hilly as well, actually. Definitely undulating. Cool. So it's 8 o'clock, so we'll make a start. Just for anyone who hasn't been in a Zoom webinar before, there's two ways that you can communicate with myself and Ollie. There's the chat box, and you can just type away in there and talk to everyone. So if you've got a question or a comment or something you want to say, you can always put it there, and someone else also might be able to give you a response or an answer. If there's something that you really specifically would like to know, so a question that you'd like us to answer, there's a dedicated Q&A box, and if you put your questions in there, then we'll try and get through them all over the course of the next hour or so. Cool. So I thought we could just start with some quick introductions. I can go first. I'm Gabby from Komoot, and at Komoot I'm the global community manager. But in my free time, I'm also very often found out on my bike. I really enjoy gravel riding. I live out in Morzine, so the gravel riding is pretty interesting around here. I'd say very much on the edge of mountain biking. Without suspension, which can be fun. But I also road ride, mountain bike, trail run and ski, and do all those other sports as well. So just generally outside. And with me, I've got Ollie.
I unfortunately don't live in Morzine. I live in Newcastle in the UK. and I'm the editor of the Gravel Union website. And I, like Gabby, really love the outdoors, and I gravel ride a lot. I also mountain bike, which is my background, road ride, but don't ski. There's not a lot of snow in Newcastle. But yeah, let's spend as much time as I can out on my bike.
Cool. And then I just thought I would show you, these are the rest of, well, almost all of the faces of the rest of Komoot. The team's actually grown a bit since this picture, but as you can see, the whole team is really passionate about getting people outdoors. And I think that's what makes the app so brilliant, is that everyone is so enthusiastic and really believes in everything that we're all about. Ollie, I don't know if you want to just introduce Gravel Union.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Gravel Union's been around just coming up to 4 years, and it's a real mix of things. It's we try and make it community based. So it's all about our membership and our readership as well, and we cover gravel riding, gravel racing, adventure riding, bike packing, anything kind of away from the road. So it's right on the crossover between road and mountain biking. It's quite a small team that run it. There's 3 of us that do it full time, and a couple of part-time people, and then lots and lots of contributors from all around Europe. And our readership is split 50% from the UK and 50% elsewhere in Europe, but also long haul destinations. We've got readers in Australia, in Southeast Asia, in South America. There's a few in North America as well. So we're steadily growing. So yeah, all about the love of gravel riding.
Nice. So just a couple more bits about Komoot. Hopefully most people here have tried the app, and you can use the app on your computer in a browser, which is awesome for doing really detailed route planning. But actually Komoot also works really well on your mobile. So you can use it to get yourself out of sticky situations if you need to navigate on the fly. Also, if anything ever happens, like you run out of battery on your bike computer, or you just rather navigate on your phone, you can also use Komoot in that way. Almost just like a sat nav, it will tell you to go left and right, and that will even work when you're on the gravel trails. And you can also download a lot of the mapping for offline use. So that's obviously a really good battery saver if you do navigate on your phone, because you can then put your phone into airplane mode and have big regions of mapping saved offline, and also you can save all of your routes offline. Cool. The other thing that we'll look at in a bit more detail today is a thing called highlights. So Komoot is really community focused, and one of the things that we're really passionate about is that local people, or people who have been exploring on their bikes or by foot or however they choose, are often the people who find the super nice places that we will want to end up finding ourselves at. So it's always super easy to find tourist information and all the really popular spots, but sometimes these smaller places are really nice. So our community of riders, when you complete a route on Komoot, you're asked if you want to create any highlights. If you press yes, you can then highlight something that you found along the way. You add a picture, you add a description, and then it turns into a small red dot on the map, and it means it's there for anyone else to use when they're planning their adventures. So you can go anywhere in the world, go onto your Komoot, and it's like you've got a local best. I touched on this a second ago, but also with Komoot, you don't have to navigate on your phone. You can also link to any device that's currently on the marketplace. So we have really good integration. So when you are planning, if you do want to use your Wahoo, Garmin, Hammerhead, whatever it may be, you can always just ping your route across. Cool. So I'll just hop into a Komoot screen. And the other thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is, if anyone does have questions, please feel free to just hop in and ask. I just need a minute because I've been logged out.
It's always the way, isn't it? With the tech is the problem.
Your best friend until it's not. But maybe you can tell us a bit about how Gravel Union uses Komoot whilst I just
Oh yeah, okay, great.
side my
So
password.
collections is probably the good thing for us to talk about first. And collections are a group of either a group of rides or a group of rides within one longer adventure. And we use them either to showcase some of the stories that we run on the website. So as a good example, we ran a piece just before Christmas about bikepacking in South Africa. And we created a collection on there, and it amalgamates all of the routes that form part of the story, along with the imagery and links to the article. So it's a way of showcasing either a specific ride or a specific group of rides together. But then also we have our Doorstep Challenges, and we're going to talk about that maybe later on. But we're coming up to the first weekend in April. We're going to run the next one, and it will be the third one that we've run, which is all based around Komoot, and it's about looking for local gravel that's near to you, using a brevet card to plot your route on Komoot, and then you upload it afterwards. And we're going to pick a random winner from everybody who enters the correctly completed ride, and that one lucky person will win a Shimano GRX 810 group set.
Sorry, I actually just have to, I'm just having a bit of trouble logging in.
No problem.
What's your favourite Komoot feature, Ollie? Do you have one?
Oh, that's a good question. I think how you can change to see underneath your route, you can look at what the different right-of-way type is, which is useful for the UK. You can see if it's a footpath or a bridleway or a byway. You can tell the kind of grades of trails, I guess. So how it's been classified. Is it kind of mountain bike single track, or is it gravel trail suitable for drop bar bikes? So that's useful to see how gnarly or not a trail is.
Yeah, that's definitely saved me a few times.
Yeah, there's nothing worse, is there? I mean, sometimes you want to be pushed, but other times you want something that's a bit more flowy and gentle and less rocky.
Yeah, for sure. It's really good as well because it means if you don't know an area at all, at least you know that the trail might be rideable and have a pretty good guess. Yeah. Cool. Sorry, I'm back with you. So this is the Komoot Gravel Union page, and we can see some of the things that Ollie described. So you can give these guys a follow. You just click there. And then you can see all the information about exactly what Gravel Union is all about. And then as you start to scroll down, you have this small preview of the Gravel Union personal collections.
Gabby, your screen isn't showing that actually. It's just showing your homepage at the minute.
Oh, really? Has it? Maybe it just hasn't. My Komoot homepage.
Yeah.
Am I with you? Am I with you now?
No, at least not for me anyway. It's just showing your that's it. No,
oh,
okay.
Perfect.
Now,
okay.
Yeah, maybe it was just a delay getting across from Mozzie.
Yeah. Morzine hasn't always got the best internet. Good mountains, but not always the best connection. So yeah, sorry. As you then scroll down, you get this small preview of the Gravel Union collections, and we'll click in to see those in a moment. And then as we go down further, you can see if the guys from Gravel Union have been out riding, or if someone's tagged Gravel Union in a tour, and I can show you how to do that. These guys get a notification and it will say, like, so here it would have said Mark Beaumont's been riding, he's tagged you, would you like to accept? And if they accept, it means that they pull those rides across into their feed, so you can really see like what the community's been up to. If you click collections, we can then see the different things that have been created. So there's the Doorstep Challenges. Do you want to talk a bit about how they work?
Yeah, okay. So we created the first one, I guess, about 18 months ago when COVID-19 was prevalent and we weren't allowed to travel very easily, but we wanted to get everybody out on their bikes and be enthusiastic and try and feel the love for gravel riding even when you couldn't travel. So we came up with this idea for a self-planned event where you use a brevet card that had 9 different things on that we gave people and said, okay, you have to try and plot a route that's going to find 6 of these things. And at the end, everybody who plotted their route successfully went out and rode it. We entered them into a big hat and pulled a lucky winner's name out, and they won on that one, a Canyon Grizzle that had just been launched. And we had nearly 7,000 people that signed up to do it. So it was incredibly successful.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, kept me very busy for a long time. Then we ran one last, I guess, October time, which was where the prize was to go to Morocco to go and do a gravel riding holiday there. And then the latest one is, as I said, is going to happen the first weekend in April, and it's all about the arrival of spring. And so we tried to tie it in with the spring classics, the kind of the cobbled riding in Belgium and northern France. So some of the clues on the brevet card are cobbly nature.
Cool. And then you can also see once you take part in the challenge, if you tag Gravel Union in your ride, then it means that you'll be pulled into the finishers collection, which is really cool, because then as you scroll down, you can see all the different places in the world where people decided to take part. And then you can really see like all of these amazing different gravel routes. So you can click in, you can get a bit closer. And then if you're like interested to find out more, like you want to know what gravel riding's like down in Budapest, you can click view and it will take you down to the correct tour. You can see the card that Ollie was describing, so you've got to go and like tick off all these different things, which means there's also often some quite fun and interesting photos.
We had a real amazing variety of rides came in, like all around Europe. I think the first one was probably even more impressive because we had rides from the whole world. There were some from Southeast Asia that stuck in my brain. So this time is looking like it's going to be a big one as well.
Oh, nice. I took part in the first one, I think, and I remember it was like really, really good fun, and it was good motivation to ride in the winter. Yeah. When I don't think I would have normally been on my bike quite yet, but it was really good getting out.
Great. And that was half the point of it, really, just to inspire people to go out and ride.
Cool. And then this is another example of a different kind of collection.
Yeah, so this one was a story we ran in November last year. A group of riders who did a multi-day trip in Serbia, a bikepacking trip going A to B to C to D. And they sent us the story afterwards. And the chap who wrote it just sent me an email and said, I've done this interesting holiday. Would you like to run it as a story? And I thought, yeah. And then looked at the photographs and went, wow, it's incredible. And so we ran a really detailed story, and he did an amazing job. It really, Serbia's not somewhere I'd previously considered going to, but the pictures and the text were fantastic, and they made a film of their adventure as well.
Oh yeah, look, that looks amazing. So it's really cool, and you can actually make these collections yourself. It is a Komoot premium feature, but it's something, yeah, you can do if you'd like to. And it's often quite useful if you want to make a group of like planned tours, if you're going on a trip, so you can be like, hey, these are my tours that I've planned for like gravel riding in Mallorca, share it with your group of mates, and then each day you just pick the tour you'd like to ride, or you can really use it for sharing the story afterwards. So it's a super nice memory. As you come down, you can see that these guys did this massive multi-day bikepacking trip. You can really see the different stages with this one, because it's editorial collection. So anything you find that's like inspirational content, there'll also be this do it yourself button, which means if you wanted to go and ride this trip, you just click here and you can break it down into the daily stages that you would like to ride. As you come down, you can then see more detail. So this is like day one, you just click through and then it takes you to this next level of detail. So you can see really how like day one was, all the different photos from the day. And then you start to really see like the routing information below. And if I wanted to do this, I would just click create a copy of this tour, and it saves it straight into my profile. So I could go and ride this. But if I want to ride the whole collection, I'm really interested in it, I just click here, bookmark it, and then it's also just stored on my profile, ready for me to navigate. So the same if you ever take part in any event and the routes on Komoot, you just bookmark it like that, and it's done, and you're good to go. Cool. So what we'll do now is we'll just hop into a route planning screen, and we can take a look at some things to look out for when you're planning gravel routes. We'll head over to Bristol because I know there's some good gravel riding around there. And if you guys have any questions about route planning as well, feel free to ask, and then whilst we're in the map, I can try and show you how to do things. So once you're in the map, yeah, you can just search for your destination of choice, and then you can click up here and select your sport type. So there's loads to choose from. So if you do other sports, you can also choose like hiking, bike touring, which will take you on like smaller roads, cycleways, and generally a more scenic route. Mountain biking, road, running, gravel riding, enduro mountain biking, which will select steeper, more technical terrain, and also mountaineering. So we'll obviously go for gravel riding today. Also, if you are using an e-bike, you can also click there. You can select your fitness level. So this is quite useful. It will just alter the amount of time it predicts you'll take to do the tour. Sometimes if I'm like riding with my kids, I'll like whack this right down, or sometimes even if I know I'm on a loaded bike and I'm bike packing, or if I'm just going for a quick hour on my lunch break, I'll put it up to get a good idea of how long it might take me. You can route plan in one-way mode or round trip. I'd actually recommend route planning in one way, starting to make your loop. And then as you get round your loop and you're sort of 3/4 of the way around and you don't mind which way it takes you home, you can let the algorithm do its thing. It will still use the gravel algorithm, so it will still put you onto gravel where there is some. But yeah, I find that more, I find it easier just to be planning with the one line. There's this little button here, which means you can reverse your waypoint order. So as you're planning, if you suddenly decide you'd rather ride a hill in a different direction or a trail might be better the other way around, you just click this and it quickly like flips all of your points of view. So that's super handy. We have lots of different mapping layers. There's the Komoot map, and then there's also sport specific mapping. So hiking, cycling, which pulls up all the long distance cycleways and greenways, mountain bike, which is my map of choice normally when I'm planning gravel riding. This is really clever. It pulls in all of the OpenStreetMap information and it starts to color grade. So you can see any like official mountain bike tracks like around here. But you can also see here, for example, it will have pulled in this information from the OpenStreetMap and it will grade it as a red trail. So you can very quickly like spot how difficult things are going to be, but also it's to just look for like clusters of trails, and you know there might be some good riding around there. We have the OpenStreetMap, so if you're used to this map view, some people really like to use it, and the same for the Open Cycle Map. And again, this makes all the long distance cycleways really visible. And then finally we have the satellite map. I actually use this a lot if I'm going to ride a trail and there's no highlight on it, so I can't just get a sneaky peek to see how it looks from somebody's recommendation. You can just zoom right in and you start to get an idea of like if it's a really small bit of single track or if it's going to be like a gravel path. Also, if you want to have a bit of a guess as to whether or not a road's really busy, if you zoom in on a road and see that there's like tons of cars on there, you can guess that it's probably going to be a super busy main road. But if you only spot like one or two, then it's a good way to maybe guess that it could be a bit quieter.
Yeah, we had a good question come in then. about why do you choose a mountain bike map when you're plotting a gravel ride? Won't that choose routes for you that may be too difficult for a gravel bike?
Oh no. So when you select your sport type, so I've selected gravel riding, that's going to then make the gravel riding algorithm be the one that's choosing the way. The map is just your view. So I like the mountain bike map because I want to find off-road segments, and I would be looking on here for trails that are blue, nothing more. But equally often I'll flip into the cycle map. If I know I'm going to do a section of road, I'll try and often follow like a long distance cycleway, because I'll also know that that's going to be a nice like recommended way to go. So you can really like toggle through these map views as you're planning.
Yeah, so the key thing is to make sure the sport is set correctly, isn't it? And then the algorithm will do the clever planning in the background.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. When you're planning as well, you'll be able to see that there's like tons of different lines. The main roads are in yellow, smaller roads in white. We can see just the black line is single track, and these like slightly shaded lines here are going to be more of our like double track or gravel roads. And if you go into real detail and you look at them really closely, if the line's dotted and not solid, it's going to be a rougher gravel road. And we can also see brown lines here, which will be the bridleways. So in the UK, there's tons of bridleways, not so much maybe in other countries, but you can really like zoom right in and have quite a good idea of what you might be going to expect. We can also see where there's gates. So if you were going to ride along here, you'd probably be getting off your bike 4 times.
Unfortunately, a frequent problem in the UK.
So yeah, there really is like a lot of detail on the map. There's also this little question mark button down here, and if there's anything you can't remember, you can often find the answer just in this little help section. But I find the map key is super useful because there really is like quite a lot of detail on the map. We can also see the sport specific mapping, anything that's like specific to those. And you can also see what the trail gradings mean. So when you're in the map, I'll show you in a minute, when you zoom in, you can see that if you go on to single track, it's graded S0 to S5. S0 is going to be like hard pack, bring the kids. S1 is going to be fun gravel riding. S2 is going to be challenging. And then once you go beyond that, you're really in like mountain bike territory, and S5 is like, consider bringing your rope. It's going to be pretty gnarly. Cool. So if we start to do a little bit of planning, so let's say we're going to start here, and then we start to plot a route. I would usually start to click through and take a look at any highlights that have been added, and you start to get a really good idea. So if you click into a highlight, you can see photos. So these guys have been down here with kids. There's like some tips. If I want to see what else there is around, someone else has put a highlight there. If I want to see more detail, I can click down here. And yeah, I'd see all the photo banks. I'd see all the bank of tips if there's different hints and tips. I can see suggested routes if I wanted to ride this from like a public transport point. And I can also see when it's popular to ride this this trail. So sometimes if you notice that no one's ridden this in like January, February, March, maybe that's because it gets super muddy, or maybe there's snow, or maybe there's, you know, like some reason why it might not be a good idea to go there then. So it's really useful. So if I set that as my destination, and every time I select a highlight and choose to include it in my route, it will also mark it in my route, and I'll have that information available when my tour's saved. So if I start to zoom in, I can also start to see the trail grading. So this track here is an S0. So I could guess that that's quite an easy track. There's like, oh, look, some hidden single track here. So sometimes you really find some real gems. You can start to just click around and get an idea how things are going to be. We won't go around there. Let's go up here. Maybe this looks like it could be good. Yeah, this looks nice. So that's a segment highlight, which is why it came up as a longer red line, because people can either highlight a whole trail if they think it's really worth riding that whole trail because it's amazing, or people can just highlight a point. So that could be a viewpoint or the trailhead or anything like that. An amazing cafe. So I usually just go along and I keep clicking set as new endpoint and plan in that linear way. But if I wanted to include something on my route, I could click anywhere and just click include on routes. There's also this little man for street view, so we can also drop him in. And I can also just use that to have a look around and really see how a road's going to be.
It's a shame Google Street View hasn't written all the single track yet. I guess they'll get there eventually.
That'd be a good job if you had to go and just check out all the single track and take a photo.
They are doing it in bits of Scotland. They are mapping it. There's they have a portable Google camera that fits in a rucksack. So they're doing some of the popular hiking trails, but I don't think they're doing biking ones yet.
So yeah, look, there's like tons of great stuff to ride. So this is like a blue S1 trail coming through here. And if I want, I can also just drag and move my point. If I just want to move the waypoint, maybe we'll come up towards Ashton Court. I'm going to go up here. And then, yeah, once I get to a point where I think this route looks really good, I'm happy with that. And I don't mind just letting the algorithm do its thing. I can then just come up here, click round trip, and it will just finish that loop for me, but it will still take into account the gravel algorithm. I can then see like how long this should take me, the distance, the elevation, and I can see that in here as well. It will like let me know if there's any warnings. So I've put something in here where it says cycling's forbidden, and I can just click and it's going to show me what it is. So that's because I've put myself onto a bit of single track. I forced the route to go there because I wanted to ride it, but it'll actually warn me and let me know if that's like not okay. And then I can take those bits out before I set off on my ride. I can also just hover over these bits and I can see, I'll just show my whole route. I can see exactly where there's going to be path, cycleway, street, road, where I'm going to be on unpaved stuff, paved and asphalt. And I could also just pop that as a overlay down here. So I can see as I'm going along, there's an unpaved cycleway there. This is an unpaved path. I can see exactly what to expect. And I can also see the different gradients. If I want to know what the weather's going to be like, I can just click here. It's like my favorite. And do see forecast. So let's say I'm going to go tomorrow and I'm going to go pretty early. I'll go at 6 in the morning and it will pull that in. So it warns me and it will say it's going to be dark during some of my tour. So bring my lights and my high-vis clothing. I can click that I want to see the temperature. So it will show me as I'm riding how the temperature is going to change. This is like particularly useful if you're doing a big climb or something and you want to know how cold it's going to be at the top. I can check if it's going to rain.
See that 0% chance of rain in the UK. That never happens.
This is my favorite. You can see the wind direction, which is really useful. So you can tell exactly where you're going to be riding into a headwind. And then this is a really good opportunity if I wanted to reverse my waypoint order and have my headwind maybe taking me home instead of having my tailwind, sorry, taking me home rather than riding into it at the beginning. And you can also see the sun. So I can actually see that I do start in the dark tomorrow morning and I can see exactly when the sun's going to be coming up in my tour. So
that's clever. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, it's really cool. So you
can show you where sunrise is going to be on your route.
Yes. So you can make sure your sunrise is when you're at the top of a climb.
Very clever.
And you know, like how charged your lights need to be. Cool. Does anyone have any other questions whilst we're in the route planner? I'll just show you a couple more things that are handy. We do have these undo redo buttons here. So if I want to undo some of those changes that I made, I can do that like that. And we also have this hide tour line button. So you can press it and it will lift the line. I don't know if anyone else has ever experienced it where you're trying to like see a road name or something and you can't because it's like right under the line. It's really useful for that, but also often I'll use it if I'm in satellite mode because I'll zoom right in and I'll be like wondering what's under here, and then I can just lift the line and I can see that that is a wide gravel path, and then you just click and it will put it back down for you. The other thing that's pretty handy is if I'm doing something and I know that there's like maybe an unmarked path, like I'm just out in the local woods, or I don't know, I want to cut across like a river, or I'd follow a different way. This is also quite handy if you're hiking. If I know that I can go over here, you just select unfollow ways, set as new endpoint, and you'll get this dotted line. And then you can really miss. So if I know there's actually a path here, but it's just not on the map for some reason, I can just really mold the way that I'm going to go, or I can go across a lake, or if I've brought like a pack raft with me or something.
Straight across the golf course there. So that just...
Yeah. I didn't tell anyone to do that. And so yeah, you can still like really mold the line so that your routing information's correct. And then once I join the road again, I can then just click. I can reselect the follow ways, and then I select my new endpoint. So I still have that really like nice complete route, and it will show me that I've put this off-grid segment in, so I remember that it is in there. So when I'm happy with that, I just select save my tour. I can give it a name, that looks fine. It will warn me again because I've put in like some of these things. So I'm cycling on a bit where there's something forbidden, so I could go back in and check that out. I've put in an off-grid segment, and I've also included a very steep uphill segment, so I might also want to take a look at that. And then I get this overview, so I can see as I scroll down any highlights that I chose to include. This is really cool when you're trying to like entice a friend to join you on a ride, because you can make sure there's some really nice highlights in there, and then they're like, oh yeah, okay, I'll come on your 6 a.m. ride. You can click back in, you can edit tool, you can invite someone to join you, so you can just search for them and click invite there, or you can generate a link and then you could send this out via WhatsApp, or whatever your messenger of choice is. I could share this route, so I could copy the link here. I could get the embed if I wanted to like put it into, I don't know, my cycling blog or whatever.
Gravel Union website.
Gravel Union website, exactly. I can add it to a collection. So if I was currently making a collection which was like really cool gravel routes around Bristol, I might just like come in here, click add, and it will put it into that like route bank for me. Export to GPS. So if you need to plug your GPS in, you can do it like that, or download the GPS, but you can also just send it via Bluetooth to most devices out there. If I'm feeling really old school, I could print the turn-by-turn directions. There's also a replan button. This is really useful, especially if I found a tour that I want to ride and I press that save to profile button. I can then come in and I can just change the starting point. So if I live in Bristol and I think this tour looks wicked, but actually I live like over here, it will just move the start point for me, so I can put it wherever I want, and it will still use that gravel algorithm, so I should still ride like a nice gravel route to the start. Or I can replan the whole tour, so maybe like tomorrow I might have a bit longer to ride, so I want to make a plan B just in case that is what happens. I can come in and I can really like mess around with this tour, do what I want to it, and make a duplicate. So this will save as a separate tour. And as I'm like moving things around, you can see the original tour is always there as that like red stencil, and my active tour line's blue. So yeah, I can do whatever I want. I can also use that like hide line button if I want to see like what I've done and what I've changed. And then when I just press the save tour button, it will be, yeah, like a duplicate. So if I'm editing this tour, I use that. But if I want to make a duplicate, I use the replan button. You can also really change the visibility of any of your routes. So either things that you've ridden or your planned tours. I could share this with everyone. I could share it with my close friends list, which I just can always keep editing on my profile. You can just add and remove people from your close friends, or I can keep it completely private, whatever I like. And then when you've completed a ride, I'll just show you one that I've done recently. Tag a lot of tours. Here we go. So we went on a really nice gravel ride in Girona a few weeks ago. Oh, this is one actually that I've been tagged in. So I've got to say that, yeah, I went. And this is what happens if you tag Gravel Union. I'm going to have to show you a run, I think. So this is a run that I did. You go in and then you can see all the photos that you took. You can like change the title to whatever you like. And then as I come down, you'll start to see that there's this create highlight button. And that's exactly what I did for this photo here. I press create highlight and then it turns it into this. So I've put like what it is. And it will appear like this. And now this will be one of these red dots on the map ready for other people to use. So you can do that with as many pictures as you like. So I just press select highlight. It will show me with a pin exactly where it is. So that's really useful. You don't need to remember. If it's just this point that was super interesting, you can leave it as just a pin there. But if the whole trail was like incredible, or there's a section that you really want to like highlight for people, you can say you want to make a segment highlight, and then you can just really move these pins to make it the segment that you want, and then you'd press next. I'll just leave this as a place. I would give it a title here and a helpful tip, and then just press done, and that's it. And then you can do all the same things here. So you can like tag anyone who joined you. So if I'd just done the Doorstep Challenge, I could come here and I'd tag Gravel Union to let them know that I've done it. I could add this to a collection of my completed tours. I could replan this tour. So if I was like, this was good, but next time I'll do it differently, I want to change this, I could go and play around with it in there. And I can also change the visibility. You'll also see that people will start to like maybe chat to you and comment on your tours in the box there. Cool. The other thing that's very useful is the Discover tab. So if you don't want to plan your own route, you can click Discover, and then you can really search for a route in like a particular sports type in a particular area, or you can click here and you can browse different routes and topics. So let's say we're going to go bikepacking. You can come in here, and then you can see there's tons and tons of bikepacking collections like ready for you to go and ride. We can filter by regions. So let's say we want to go bikepacking in the Netherlands, and it will suggest these different routes for us. And have a look at the Green Divide. So you come in, you get like all of the information, like what is this all about? You come down, you can see the route, you can see like the different stages. There's the do it yourself button, so you could click in here and like customize it for your preference. And then as you come down, you have those daily stages. And if I wanted to ride this, I would just bookmark it. So yeah, there's like tons and tons of really nice stuff in here that you can just take that's like ready for you to use. Cool. Ollie, a thing you can think of that I might have missed?
We had a couple of questions come in then, one of which actually just answered perfectly, said, how do I search for groups like Gravel Union? So is there a way of searching for, you can search for people certainly, can't you? But I guess that probably, that question I suspect means, can I find other gravel routes? And so the way you just showed how to do it for Discover is a good one. But what about if you wanted to find a specific person? How would you go about doing that?
Yeah, so if you knew who you were looking for, you can just click in here and select find friends. And then I would just search for like Gravel Union or whoever I'm looking for. The Discover tab is useful because if you find routes in a region that you're interested in, you could also then see what else that person's been up to. So you could come in here. We're like really into bikepacking. We can like see what this route's all about. But then if I thought, wow, like Catherine's doing some really cool stuff, I'd like to see what other like gravel riding she's doing, I can then click in and it will take me to her profile. And I can always decide that I want to follow her and see like the other things that she's been up to. So that's quite a good way to maybe find people who are doing interesting stuff and connect with them. The other thing you can do is you can click into the Pioneer tab, and people that contribute a lot to Komoot, so take the time to upload highlights and recommend things to the community. You get awarded little badges on your profile, so it might say that you're like the pioneer for cycling in like the Bristol area, for example. As we start to zoom in, you'll start to see like who these people are. We can say that we're just interested in cycling, and then we can see the person who's like doing the most down here. Oh, it's me when I was living there. Just making loads of highlights. Yeah, you can see like who the pioneer is, and you can also see who like local experts are. And then you could just click into their profile as well and see like what they're up to, because it means that they're probably riding a lot. And if they look like they're doing the similar kind of things that you're into, then it's also like a cool way to find people and follow them. I actually do that quite a lot for just like people in my local area. Yeah, follow people and then yeah, see what they're recommending.
Great. What other questions have we had? No, I think that was it actually. We covered those. Okay, another question for you then, Gabby. What about, so at the minute, most of the routes are Europe-based, but you're slowly spreading out over the world. What's the plans for future development? Are there places you're going to specifically target to try and grow? So for example, at the minute, North America, you've only got 4 routes. Do you think that will grow?
Yeah, so
oh, in fact, actually that's your profile, isn't it? So that was a bad example, but
yeah, so yeah, these are all my routes and places I've ridden in the world, but we currently, there's loads and loads of recommendations in Europe. So the more people who use Komoot and the more people who are recommending things, then the better it is. But it really is like a global route planner. So if you like looked at America, Australia, Asia, you would still find these local recommendations, just probably not as many as if you looked at like Germany, for example. But the Komoot community is really growing quickly. And it's really cool to start seeing lots more things popping up globally. There are also lots of long distance like bikepacking routes and like tours popping up as well outside of Europe, including places like in Africa and yeah, further afield.
great.
And yeah, also every time people who are used to using Komoot travel, obviously that means really cool routes and highlights are created.
It's an interesting way of seeing where you have been, or we have been, as a gravel rider as well, isn't it? We kind of, instead of having pins on a map on the wall, you've got a digital pin to show you traveled a heck of a lot, ridden in some pretty amazing places.
Yeah, it's really cool to see it all on one map. I can't believe I've done almost 2,000 rides in Europe. That I'm not sure if I believe it. But it must be true.
Where's your favorite destination then, out of the ones that you've been to? If you could go back to any one of them, which would it be?
If I could go back somewhere, it'd probably be Iceland. I went a few years ago just on a 4-day bikepacking tour, which just wasn't enough time.
Okay.
So just had a tiny taste for like how amazing it is there. And we stuck to the main area because of the time limitations.
Yeah.
But actually, I think if you go to the more remote parts and like the West Fjords and stuff, it looks really incredible. How about you, Ollie?
Yeah, I have been to the West Fjords actually, miraculously, and it's very cool. I was there on my honeymoon rather than on a cycling trip, but so I did a bit, but not very much. But I think I would go somewhere sunny at the minute. I'd probably go maybe to Girona, if you said you were there last week. So I've not ridden there. So yeah, somewhere in Spain with lots of sunshine.
Yeah, Girona is definitely the gravel capital for a reason. There's so many gravel tracks, it's unbelievable. And all sorts of different styles of riding, like your single track, but then just your really nice wide gravel roads.
Okay,
so, yeah.
A good mix.
Yeah. Cool. Well, if we don't have any more questions, we can wrap it up there. I've recorded this session, so what I'll do is once that's downloaded, I'll send it out to everyone who's here and everyone signed up. So if there was something that you want to see again, you can always watch it back. But don't forget that there is that little question mark button on the map, and hopefully that will also help you find any features or anything that you're unsure of when you're planning.
Great. Thanks, Gabby. Hopefully it's given everybody some inspiration as well for the Doorstep Challenge in a couple of weeks' time. So now everybody knows how to plan it. Got no excuse for not making an amazing route.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing all those rides. Cool. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all have a lovely evening. And get some good riding in soon. All right. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.